In this video, we take a detailed look at a 1970s generic modernised in the 90s by Shit Generic. As far as I can tell, these are 70s generics. There's nothing really distinctive about them. They don't seem like they're built by a major lift company. So pretty much just like a generic built from brought in parts in the 70s. But this is very different from like a modern day generic. Modern day generics are crap, horrible, don't last long. In the 70s, there weren't like the wide range of parts to make lifts out of, and there wasn't all the crap from China. So in the 70s, generic lifts were still actually using proper, well-made parts, meaning that 70s generics are actually very well made. So different from modern day generics. And now, the first most noticeable thing when you go up to these lifts and press the button is there's no lift chooser, meaning when you press the button, if both lifts are not in use, both lifts will respond to the call. Now, back in the days of relay logic, this sort of thing was quite common, because a lot of times they're actually using very few relays to actually control the lifts. The simplest sort of relay control lifts were just literally one call at a time, and often when there's two lifts next to each other, they're not a set, they would just be like two separately running lifts. Now, a more complex form of relay control is memory logic, and this is where the lift actually remembers the different calls, and then goes and serves all of the calls that people press buttons on the lift. Now, this sort of system often is not entirely relay control, but also has a mechanical logic device, also known as a floor selector. Now, this mechanical device actually moves as the lift moves and creates circuits. Now, this is because just trying to make an entire lift system just out of relays would get exponentially complex the more floors the lift has. When the lift's seeing if it's more calls it needs to serve, it'd be more complex, more things it has to test with the more floors that a lift has. With a mechanical logic system, it literally like creates circuits as the thing moves, so a lift can easily to see if the circuit exists to say if there's more calls. There's a really clever sort of thing which you just completely do not get nowadays. But even more complex forms of relay logic actually have a lift chooser, whereas a set of two lifts or more, someone comes up, presses a button, and the system has to decide which lift to send to the call. Now, these are extremely complex when made out of relays. It was like pushing the limits of what you could actually do with relays. They were just so advanced for the time. It'd be like racks and racks of relays, and very few companies actually installed these. And the only companies that actually made these were Otis, Express, and Schindler. These systems were just really advanced. It has to do like these really complex logic functions of seeing how many calls and how busy different lifts are and having to assign the right lift to the right call. Ever so advanced. But a lot of old lifts using relays built in like the 70s and earlier did not have this lift chooser system, meaning that if both lifts were not in use, you press the button, both lifts will respond to the call. But what's really odd with this self lifts is that they were modernised in the 90s with bog standard generic electronics. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever with like modern electronics. Like it couldn't like just send one lift to the call. It's just like electronics, programming. It's easy. Really odd it doesn't do it. It's just so odd that self lifts doesn't have a lift chooser. But what's more likely is that the lift chooser is simply broken down, knowing what modern day generic logic's like, and no longer works. And now we go into the left lift. Now, this lift really does have problems. It sounds quite rough, and it does not like stopping at the 13th floor. Just watch this. And it arrives at the 13th floor, and
13th floor.
Fail! It stopped. And now it's going downwards. Complete fail. Oh dear. And now let's try pressing a button up on the 13th floor. And the left lift has started moving. And it arrives at the 13th floor, and no, does not open its doors. What a complete fail. And the right lift is also coming. And it does manage to stop at the 13th floor. Oh, it looks like the right hand lift is working a lot better than the left hand lift. And now the left lift is moving, and if we listen to the lift motor, that does not sound good. And now, let's go surf the lifts, except not the left lift. I'm a bit too scared to surf that lift, so I'll surf the right one instead. Although, with that said, there is actually an alarm on top of the lift for the lift engineer to press if they get stuck up there. Now, that really does inspire confidence, doesn't it? But first, before I actually go and surf this lift properly, let's do something a little bit different and get a more unusual view of this lift. Now, let's just put the camera on top of the lift and film the lift just looking upwards in the lift shaft. Let's go!
Basement.
And now I call the lift back up to the 13th floor and both lifts respond to the call. And when it gets to the 13th floor, you can hear in stereo 2 different lifts arriving at the 13th floor. And the right lift, which the camera's on, opens its doors. And the left lift also opens its doors.
Doors opening. Lift going down.
The first time today that the left lift has successfully managed to get to floor 13. Wow! So then I open up the door stopping lift to get the camera back out, but I opened up the doors too early, and typical generic lift logic, it takes a lift out of service. And I managed to reach my camera to get my camera out, but I cannot reach the controls to put it onto manual mode, then back onto automatic mode to reset it. Oh dear, this is really annoying. Is this so stupid that generic logic does this? Why, if the safety circuit breaks while the lift is moving, does it take a lift out of service? It doesn't literally just mean that someone's opened up the outside doors. It could be loads of things that cause the safety to break, and it could be someone in the lift that could get stuck. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, even with an Otis Gen 2, it immediately takes the lift out of service as soon as it even detects the shaft door opening. You can reset it using the triangle key in the logic control box. With a Schindler MRL, it takes lift out of service after 10 seconds of the safety circuit breaking once it realises the safety circuit isn't connecting again. Meaning if you open the doors and the Schindler MRL realises it's on the wrong place, immediately shut the doors again, the lift carries on working. But with proper lifts, such as the EcoDisc, which is a really well-designed bit of logic, it doesn't go out of service at all. And I'm just so annoyed that I stopped this lift ever so slightly too soon and I can't reach your controls. I'm so glad I didn't stop it any earlier, because if I did, I wouldn't be able to reach my camera, and that would not be good. So then I now go to the local park and get a stick in the hope I'd be able to reach your controls, so I go back up to the 13th floor and the lift has actually gone back into service. Okay, this is quite interesting. Some generic logic does actually go back into service after 10 minutes, but be warned, not all generic logic does this. So when you open up a generic lift, you do have to be really careful to stop it in the right place so you can actually reach your controls to reset it. And now the camera's got to surf the lift, but I haven't. So then it's lift surfing time. Although doing this is a bit worrying, because when the other lift started working, I could see from the outside of the lift it actually gives away the car top light is on, because as the lift goes past you can actually see the glow of the car top light as the lift goes past. So everyone outside of this lift knows that the car top light's on and there's probably someone surfing it. But hey, most people are not actually that observant, so let's go surf the lift.